Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. So today we're diving into a seriously fascinating piece of source material that decodes exactly what companies are actually looking for when you finally step out of the classroom and into the corporate world. We spend so much time obsessing over our technical knowledge, right? Spending hours perfecting our hard skills, stressing over GPA decimals. But this analysis, it totally flips the script. We're going to focus entirely on the true currency of the modern workplace and figure out what it takes to not just survive, but literally thrive in your career.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is the big question staring pretty much every recent grad right in the face. In the workplace, is your ability or your attitude more important? Well, it's incredibly easy to fall into the trap of thinking that a resume stuffed with technical certifications, high-level internships, and a stellar GPA is all you need to guarantee a smooth, upward career trajectory. But our source material challenges this misconception head-on. It suggests that what you can do on paper is actually secondary to how you consistently show up to do it.
Now, when you think about workplace soft skills, your mind probably races through a dozen different buzzwords. You're probably thinking networking, leadership, adaptability, emotional intelligence, all the usual suspects. But our source text actually boils the core enterprise expectation down to a very specific number. Exactly, 6. There are exactly 6 non-negotiable, fundamental work attitudes that employers actively demand from their workforce. And honestly, these aren't just nice little extras. These are the absolute core requirements for your professional survival.
So let's look at exactly what these are. The 6 pillars of work attitude highlighted in our source are being proactive, taking initiative, being responsible, being reliable, having patience, and being willing to learn. Now, I want you to really think about this list. At first glance, I know, these might sound like standard corporate filler words, the kind you'd casually drop into a job interview to sound good, but the reality is that enterprises view these 6 traits as the absolute baseline expectation. They literally form the bedrock of your professional identity.
Let's break these down into actionable pairs, starting with activating your potential through being proactive and taking the initiative. What this really translates to in a day-to-day work environment is simply the habit of acting before you're explicitly asked to. Like when you anticipate a bottleneck and start working on a solution, or even, actually, scratch that, even just fixing the jammed office printer before anyone asks. When you do that, you're broadcasting a powerful message. You're showing your team that you aren't just some passive worker waiting for instructions, but that you're genuinely engaged and invested in the outcomes of your team.
Next up, we move to the bedrock of your workplace persona, being responsible and reliable. These two just go hand in hand seamlessly. Responsibility means fully owning your tasks, claiming your successes, and, crucially, owning your failures without pointing fingers or making excuses. Reliability, on the other hand, means showing up consistently. So when you say something will get done, your team considers it a rock-solid guarantee. Being the person your colleagues can implicitly count on, that is exactly how you build an absolutely unbreakable professional reputation.
And then we have the long game, being patient and being willing to learn. Look, entering a new job, especially as a recent grad, means you're going to face a massively steep learning curve. It's like drinking from a fire hose. The source material emphasizes that your desire to absorb new information has to be paired tightly with patience. You are going to make mistakes. New processes will take time to master. But enduring that initial friction with a positive attitude, that's just as crucial as your actual intellectual capacity to do the work in the first place.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core dynamic our source wants us to understand, the great balance between workability and work attitude. Think of workability like the gears of a well-oiled machine. It's strictly what you can do. It's your degree, your coding skills, your financial modeling expertise. But then you have work attitude, which is the heart and the shield. It's how you approach the work. The stark reality of the workplace is basically this. Your workability is what gets you through the door and gets you hired, but your work attitude is what keeps you there, gets you promoted, and ultimately keeps you trusted by your team.
Which brings us to the ultimate workplace goal. And I really want to slow down here for a second, because this concept is the absolute cornerstone of the entire analysis. Trust. In the context of our source material, trust isn't just a vague feeling of liking a coworker, not at all. Trust is defined as the direct, hard-earned byproduct of consistently demonstrating those 6 positive attitudes to your supervisors and your colleagues. It's the invisible currency of the workplace, and you can only accumulate it by proving your attitude day in and day out.
So the crucial point is really captured in this question straight from our source material: what kind of behaviors make supervisors and colleagues trust you? Because grasping the abstract theory of a good attitude is one thing, right? But the source explicitly moves us into practical application here. It demands that we look at actual workplace case discussions to see how these overarching traits translate into daily physical actions that actually move the needle on trust.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how it plays out in a real-world scenario. Imagine you're working on a major project and a critical deadline is slipping. A worker with high ability but a poor attitude might try to hide the delay or maybe blame another department. But a worker who exhibits the attitude of being responsible, they'll flag the issue early, take ownership of the miscalculation, and immediately propose a revised timeline. The specific behavior there is transparent communication, and the resulting trust from the supervisor is massive. Even though a mistake occurred, the supervisor now knows, for sure, that they can rely on this person to handle adversity with complete maturity.
Let's move ahead and see how this builds into a cohesive roadmap for anyone entering the workforce. It really distills the source material down to 3 actionable steps for professional success. Step 1. Apply your ability. Use the hard skills you learned in school to execute the task at hand. Step 2. Demonstrate your attitude. Execute that exact same task while being proactive, reliable, and patient. And finally, Step 3. Earn trust. This is the natural, inevitable outcome when Steps 1 and 2 are repeated consistently. It takes all these abstract concepts and turns them into a clear, replicable cycle for your career.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought to reflect on as you prepare for your professional journey. Consider the question staring right at us. Your abilities got you the interview, but do your attitudes earn their trust? When you sit down at your desk on day 1, remember that your degree is no longer the most important thing about you. It's how you choose to show up, how you take initiative, and how you take responsibility that will truly define the arc of your career. Keep those 6 pillars in mind, and you're going to build a foundation of trust that no resume can ever match. Thank you so much for joining me for this analysis, and keep learning.